Hey, everybody. So we're looking at our Chapter 16 test review today. Just to give you a quick overview, the front side of it is dealing with circumference and arc length, which is the 16.1, 16.2 stuff. And then the back side gets into the area of a circle and sector area, which is the 16.3 stuff. So yeah, having those notes out isn't a bad idea. And we'll look over about one of each type. Okay, so let's jump into it. Just as a quick, I guess, overview of the formulas, we have our circumference arc length formulas here, area of circle, area of sector. If you don't have these formulas in your notes, highly recommend it. All right, so getting into it, let's start with the first section, just asking us to find the circumference, asking us to round to the nearest tenths. That's how this whole review is, by the way, with the tenths, right? So take a look at number 4. Okay, so maybe first things first. Here is our formula for circumference. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Not a bad idea to just write that out. All right, and we just need the radius of our circle. If you guys notice on number 4 as well as number 3, they're not giving us radius, they're giving us diameter, all right? But the radius is going to be half that. So if we take 7.4, divide by 2, it looks like we're going to be plugging in a 3.7 for the radius. Okay, so 2 pi 3.7. Let's see what we get. Looks like 23.24. So that's just going to round to a 23.2. All right, if you can include the units, that'd be great. This is in miles. All right, we're just, circumference, if you guys remember, is just the distance around a circle, right? That's how many, miles, I guess, long this circle is. All right, the next section, I am not planning on doing one. This is asking for the opposite, is giving you the circumference and asking you for the radius. I'm going to do a problem just in just a couple minutes that does that. So you can try those if you want, or you can come back to them. All right, from here, we're getting to finding the length of an arc. All right, so quick reminder, here is the formula for finding the arc length. Okay, we need the measure of the arc, and we need the radius of our circle, and we can plug it into our formula. So let's go and do it. All right, so yeah, we've got our measure here in the center. Remember, that also means that's the measure of the arc. All right, and we have our radius. Let's go ahead and plug it in. So trying to think, the arc, we don't have any like numbers or anything. So I think I'm just going to do this part of the formula, just by the way. So let's start with the measure of the arc, which is 120 divided by 360 times 2 pi r, the radius, which we can see is 13. Yep, and there it is. That'll give us our length of our arc. Let's see what happens. Okay, which, by the way, you can type this whole thing in at the same time. All right, I'm getting 27.22, so that's going to round to a 27.2. Oops, sorry. And let's see, our units are in inches. All right. I always think just a good thing to check, this being the radius is 13, this looks like it's longer than it. These aren't drawn exactly to scale, but it's not a bad idea just to take a look at it and see if it makes sense. All right. The last thing on the front side is doing the opposite. They're going to give us the arc length and ask for the radius. All right. So, this is where we will use the entire formula on this thing. All right. So let's start with the arc length. On number 9, it's saying it's 9.4. I'm just going to put up here. So there's our arc length. Okay, that equals the measure of the arc we can see is 45 divided by 360 times 2 pi r. Okay, we're obviously going to solve for the radius. All right, we have 3 things we need to get rid of, right? The fraction, the 2, the pi. Okay, we'll do it in that order. Hopefully you guys are getting good at this. Getting rid of a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. All right, both sides. Okay, so over here, grab your calculator, do this with me. So we got 360 divided by 45 times 9.4. This is giving me a 75.2. All right, one thing to always remember on this step, don't round this number. All right, and ideally, we don't want to type this number again. We want to use the answer key if necessary. Okay, but yeah, don't round anything until the very end. Okay, over on the right, those are gone. We have 2 pi r. Okay, so here's a big thing. When we go to solve for r and get rid of 2 and pi, we can get rid of those individually. We can divide both sides by 2 and then divide both sides by pi, and we'll get our answer. You could also get rid of them at the same time, okay, by dividing by 2 pi, both things. But here's the big thing. If you choose to do that, you have to put parentheses around this in your calculator, or you will get the wrong answer. Okay, if you think you're going to forget the parentheses, just do them one at a time. Divide by 2, divide by pi. It takes a second more. All right, but I just want to point that out for anybody that's doing this all at the same time. So divided by parentheses 2 pi, I'm getting 11.96. All right, so that means that 9 is going to round up, which then rounds the 11 to a 12. All right, so radius equals 12.0. And I'm looking for units. I don't see any, so we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so if you'd like, take a pause, try out some of these circumference arc lengths, and then we can flip to the back and try out some of the others. All right, so the back side gets away from this and gets into area, circle, area of a sector. All right, I'm going to leave finding the area of a circle and finding the radius to you. We've done these recently, and the next few examples I do will also, give you an idea of how to do these. But these are really quick. I want to look at just the ones that are more interesting, and that's finding the area of a sector and then finding the radius using the sector area. So taking a look at 18, here's our formula. And I'm just going to go ahead and start plugging stuff in. So the measure of the arc, we can see this sector, its arc is going to be 300. Okay, so we got 300 divided by 360 times, and careful on this, pi r squared, right? So pi, the radius is 17 squared. Okay, so type this in with me, and let's see if we get the same answer. All right, and I'm getting 756.60, so 756.6. Okay, we do have units. If you guys remember, area is in units squared, so if you can include that. Okay, this is a really big area. These are big numbers. If I were doing this, I would really quickly check to see what the area of the whole circle is. I know I can do that by just doing pi r squared. R is 17. Pi 17 squared, that gets me 907 for the area of the whole circle, which is bigger than this. Like that just kind of gives me some context to think, okay, yeah, this is likely right. Okay. All right, last one is giving us the sector area, asking us for the radius. So again, we're plugging into this formula and solving for r. Okay, let's start with the sector area. They're telling us on this one, number 19, it's 12.6. Okay, and that equals the measure of the arc, which is 90, divided by 360 times pi r squared. Okay, and just like the one we did with the arc length and solving for radius, we are now just getting r by itself by getting rid of the fraction, pi, and then the power of 2 in that order. All right, so starting the same way as before, getting rid of the fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal, both sides. Okay, so again, do this with me. We got 360 divided by 90 times 12.6. That gives me a 50.6. Oh, not 6, my bad, 4. All right, on the right, these are gone. We have pi r squared. All right, they do want us to find radius, right? So let's keep going. We now can get rid of pi by dividing. All right, so divided by pi, my calculator, I'm getting a 16.0428, and it goes on. Leave that number in your calculator. I'm going to write some of it out. So 16.042. Okay, on the right, those are gone. We got pi squared, or r squared, right? And then the last thing, undoing squaring with square rooting. All right, remember, we don't want to type this number. We want to use the answer key. Okay, so taking the square root of both sides, and when you do this, use the answer key. So go ahead, take the square root of your answer. If you still don't know how to do that, please talk to us. And I'm getting 4.00, so that's going to round to just a 4.0. I'm going to flip it around. Okay, and again, I'm looking for units. There's no units here, so we'll just leave it as that. Okay, so yeah, that's the test. I don't think it's a terribly difficult one. Just watch out for mixing up circumference with area and swapping the two formulas. All right, so yeah, go ahead, try these out. If you have any questions, let me know.